Semi-rage has evolved quite a bit throughout the years. There's a couple reasons for this, but first, let's talk about what exactly semi-rage is. There's no real clear definition, and depending on who you ask, you get completely different answers. Originally, semi-rage referred to cheating as hard as possible, but still looking legit enough, so you didn't get banned by Overwatch. It's sort of a hybrid between legit cheating and raging. So, in theory, you could make the argument that as long as you didn't get banned, you were semi-raging. That isn't how it started though. Back in 2015, there was a pretty glaring loophole when it came to how Overwatch worked. You needed 11 reports within 24 hours to get sent to Overwatch. After 24 hours, reports would reset. So, if you 5-stacked and played 2 games, you wouldn't get sent to Overwatch, even if every single player on the enemy team reported you both games. You could rage on your main, with knives, with dragon lures, and nothing would happen. As long as one of your own teammates didn't report you, of course. So, obviously, you had to trust the people you were queuing with. No one wanted to lose XP or wins though, so typically it was against their interests to report you. You could also just play one game solo queue if you wanted to, since people could rage and not get banned. This is where the term Rage Elo became a thing. Above Global Elite, at Rage Elo, everyone would rage. None of this was semi-raging, this was just rage. Naturally, Valve realized this obvious exploit, and they changed how many reports it took. The term semi-rage didn't become a thing till around 2018, but people were still semi-raging much earlier than that. Just no one called it that. In 2017, semi-rage was in an interesting spot. Probably the best cheat at the time for semi was Fanta, and that's because it had features no other cheats did. Since every other cheat separated their H3H features and legit features, but Fanta would combine them. Back during the fake angle days, legit anti-aim, or legit AA, first became a thing with Fanta. You could manually have legit AA with other cheats, but it wasn't as good. Fanta also had anti-trigger, which other cheats would basically just called fake lag on peak, but they were actually two different things. Most people back then weren't comfortable using RageBot for matchmaking, even on a low FOV, so people were forced to use the legit bots for aimware and skeet, which both were pretty weak, so they'd just get destroyed by Fanta. Keep in mind, people still played somewhat legit at this time. Most cheats wouldn't have an actual legit AA feature till around mid-2018. In 2018, semi-rage would shift much more towards the rage part. Holding 0 ms trigger magnet with 200 ms backtrack, along with blatantly walling and aimbotting, would become the norm. Not to the point where you would be monkey raging though. You'd still need a brain, and still needed to play the game somewhat properly, or you'd get banned. You couldn't move around like a silver while having inhuman reaction and godlike aim. You also wouldn't shoot through smokes, walls, or pre-fire off angles. You were clearly cheating, but you needed to have the benefit of the doubt, so Overwatch wouldn't convict you. 2019 is probably when Overwatch was at its peak. If you raged or semi-raged, or were just monkey blatant, you'd most likely get banned. You could still blatantly cheat of course, but you had to at least look like a good player, especially if you were dropping 30 or 40 bombs. That includes using utility, good crosshair placement, and good movement. If you wanted another layer of protection, you'd buy skins. People that were on the fence on if the suspect was cheating or not, if they saw a pretty knife or good skin, more often than not, would click insufficient evidence. Why would this person risk this amount of money? They're probably legit. So 2020 rolled in, and this is where Overwatch got significantly worse. Now cheaters could regularly monkey rage, or even full rage, and nothing would happen. Semi-rage at this point included legit auto-wall, which, yes, you heard that right. You'd have auto-wall on, but not full auto-wall, just legit auto-wall. You would only auto-wall when the enemy was visible, even if it was just their arm or feet. People now regularly would use RageBot on key. Everyone would have skins, so no matter how obvious they were, they probably wouldn't get banned since Overwatch didn't seem to ban anyone, except full spinners, and even that wasn't guaranteed. Then, around October of 2020, Overwatch stopped working. It took cheaters a while to catch on, but once they did, all bets were off. In 2021, semi-rage died. There was no semi-rage because there was no Overwatch. There was no reason to hold back. You could 180 FOV auto wall, down pitch, fake lag max. Everything was fine. Best cheat for semi was Skeet since it was undetected at the time, and people were just playing as if they were on HVH servers anyway. The definition of semi-rage would change. Now, as long as you didn't have down pitch, you were semi-raging. This would remain the case for all of 2021 and most of 2022. These days, semi-rage is still basically dead. Despite Overwatch not being in the game for months now, most internals are either abandoned or detected, and giving either red trust and bans. So you can imagine why it's not really a thing. We'll see how it is in CS2.